Why they even ask for 10 guards?
Right.
The place is smaller than this room.
Right.
We don't need 10 guards. It's about the area of this section of the room.
Right.
You don't need and require 10 guards at $30 an hour or $50 an hour or $75 an hour to secure a space of this size. But perhaps what they thought would happen would be we'd become so frustrated by the difficulty, angry with each other, that that kind of event would not occur, that we'd bite each other's ears off, we'd break each other's arms, arguing over who and how are these things going to be accomplished. But look how great God is. Right. Every obstacle that they thought had been laid before us was removed by God Himself. And those who stood for justice stepped in and did the right thing. And so we're thankful for the outcome of the vigil. It was entirely peaceful. There was no need for law enforcement contact that I'm familiar with of any kind. Surely they came with all the cameras, so if you missed the vigil, call OPD and ask them for the tape. Now, return from Los Angeles. So please forgive my not having my shirt and tie, the lack of formality. Dave is just off the plane himself, and suitcases are in the car, but we were blessed to help the Grant family in and out of the court procedure for the trial of Johannes Messerly for the murder of Oscar Grant. The hearing itself was about 45 minutes to an hour, and in just reflecting on the difference between court procedures here in Alameda County and those at the Los Angeles courthouse, it's night and day. So some of those, Oscar's family that drove down along with others, arrived at the courthouse, I'm told, at about 6:30 in the morning, because the Alameda County experience was first in line, gets into the courtroom. Well, that experience does not exist in Los Angeles. So they were there, and I arrived there for an 8:30 hearing at about 7:30. And when we arrived, Dave and about, at that point, 50, 60 other people were out front with signs demanding justice for Oscar Grant. They weren't able to get into the front door. Perhaps they didn't know that there was another door. And we found that door and we got into the building. As we went through the security check procedure, everything seemed to be pretty common until we got off the elevator. Then it became less common. When we reached the 9th floor, where the hearings would be held, right off the top, there's another check procedure. That was unusual to me. I flew here on an airplane. I went through the weapons check once. I got on the plane. To get from downstairs to upstairs at the LA County Courthouse for that courtroom specifically, there's a double check. So you go through a metal detector coming into the building, then you go through another metal detector to get onto the floor where the trial would be held. Unbeknown to me, the courtroom where the trial procedures were held is actually much smaller than any of the courtrooms that we have visited here for the hearings of Johannes Messerly at Alameda County Courthouse. And the first come, first served procedure does not exist. The family of Oscar and the family of Johannes Messerly are permitted 6 seats per family, guaranteed seats in the courtroom. Now, of course, Oscar's family is extended, for he has a child, Tatiana, and her mother. In that part of the family, he has his own mother and his father's family, as his mother and father are not currently married. So traveling with the Grant family, we're at least 15 to 18 persons with a guarantee of 6 seats. So when we arrived, we discovered that a lottery process would exist for those that could enter the courtroom. You need a ticket, and your number must be called. So outside of the 6 guaranteed seats for the family, there were about 20 to 25 seats made available to the general public. By God's grace, those that were in line recognized our help in the trial, and when their numbers were called, started handing us their tickets to make sure that we could get in to support them. But because the rally was taking place on the outside, all of us that were on the inside that I'm aware of, Sister Khalida could maybe help me. Was anyone excluded? Everyone was able to get in. But on getting in, we occupied every single seat in the courtroom. And if you were able to see the looks on Attorney Michael Rain's face, what that meant to him, he looked terrified. You'd have thought Osama bin Laden just walked in the room. He literally, before the judge came in, was apparently astounded that the people that he thought were right there in Los Angeles with him, plus the LA crowd. There was an LA crowd. Dave was stirring them up out there. There was an LA crowd of activists that were waiting to receive us. In fact, they wrote it in some of the papers that the activists were there to receive Johannes Messerly as he came to the courthouse. I didn't see that happen. I wish I'd have been there to see it so we could give him a round of boos. But Johannes Messerly arrived and found in Los Angeles the same thing that Judge Jacobson said he found in Oakland, and that was a team of people with banners that said, "No justice, no bar, justice for Oscar Grant," and it said the whole damn system is guilty. Our family in Los Angeles is beginning the organizing process. The judge rulings for that day were to determine the scheduling of the trial and to determine some of its basic rulings. Some of the basic rulings you can see in the newspapers have to do with the denial of the right for the press to bring cameras and recording devices into the room. Interestingly enough, the arguer for the right was KTVU, being represented there by, I forget her name, Rita Williams? Rita Williams was their testifier. She did not write the letter. Someone from KTVU wrote the letter. The judge asked, "Is that person here?" Somebody in authority over her. She said no, and he said, "Was there anything you want to say that would convince me to do other than what I already determined to do, and that is to not allow cameras in the courtroom?" Well, this was her argument. Her argument was that the images that are being shown of Johannes Messerly are that of him coming into the courtroom in a jail jumpsuit in handcuffs, and that it's unfair for the public to continually see Johannes Messerly in handcuffs and in a prison jail suit. Well, let me pledge that every time we send out a Facebook invitation to this event, you're going to see Johannes Messerly in a jail jumpsuit. Now, the judge dismissed her argument, and his position in essence was that to have cameras in the courtroom is intimidating to the witnesses and to some of the attorneys. Some might remember Marsha in the O.J. case, when it was made clear to her that she was on international TV. She had to get an extreme makeover. She got an extreme makeover after the first couple of days of the trial. Perhaps when her family and cousins called from the other side of the country and said, "Marsha, you look toe up." And for the rest of the trial, she was done. So is there a level of intimidation that can occur from cameras in the courtroom? The judge's position was yes. In fact, he declared something I never heard until this court procedure, that not only did he say was Johannes Messerly threatened with death, according to the judge's early hearings here in Oakland, they declared that his family was threatened, his children were threatened, his attorney was threatened. So he was giving his statement as to why it was proper to move the trial to Los Angeles County or out of Alameda County. The judge was very clear that he would not permit the cameras. He saw no use for it. The desire to inform the public that KTVU argued for, well, I guess we'll have to accept that responsibility here at the town halls to make sure that we are thoroughly informed about the goings-ons inside the courtroom in Los Angeles. Now, his other ruling had to do with the gag order. The attorneys and every person involved in the case are under gag order from the Alameda